transgender bitch. Oh, what? Why are you watching this?
This is what we're trying to avoid.
This fucking faggot. And he's got a Tommy gun, too. What the fuck? I wouldn't buy that shit.
So I'd like to explain about the obstacles a target-tarded individual faces from their families. As we'll see, friends, they can be quite challenging. So I'd like to explain all about the obstacles faced by target-tarded individuals from their families. So I'd like to explain all about the obstacles faced by target-tarded individuals from their families. And as we'll see, friends, they can be quite challenging indeed. And as we'll see, friends, they can be quite challenging indeed. So I'd like to explain all about the obstacles faced by target-tarded individuals from their families. And as we'll see, friends, they can be quite challenging indeed. Now, poor little critter used to have some rats. You know, people involved in gang stalking and going after target-tarded individuals, they don't care about the good of society. All they care about is winning, pleasing their employers. So they're contractors for security firms. It's all a very loose arrangement and untraceable. These are people with military intelligence backgrounds. These are people with homeland security degrees. These are former cops. Essentially people who are used to operating in a legally gray area or on a regular basis breaking the law. So they know how easy it all is. And they work with criminal elements in society, you know, just low-level types, drug addicts. You know, they'll pay them in gift cards, do some street theater, whatever it is, whatever needs doing. These people will, you know, and the tactics they use, they leave very little evidence. They use microwave emitters, you know, the size of something that could fit in a duffel bag. They use binary poisons. They use contact poisons. They use exotic drugs that are nanotech enhanced. They use smart dust. Just And recently, you know, I've been afflicted. You know, I think they tapped into the water line, and I mean, they were telling me that they were down there. You know, because they just wanted me back out on the street, and or I'd be more vulnerable. So, yesterday, I was set to look at a piece of property outside of the Eugene area. Now, this property was, you know, I looked at the financing information. I could afford it, you know, with the VA loan. Had a couple extra rooms that I could rent out. Evidently, it was in a semi-safe location where they didn't have many people, you know, because you know they want to keep me here amongst my enemies. It's amazing how shallow people are. It's amazing. They've been sent out on their little missions. All they recognize is their own pain. Me, I don't want to hurt anybody, you know. I've already done enough damage back in my 20s. I was under mind control, though, you know. It isn't really my fault. So these people interfered with the sale of my GoPro camera. They hacked in. My PayPal password didn't work. The auction finished. My PayPal password didn't work. I tried to get in there and want to send a code to some phone number that I never had. Why was I selling it? Well, it's hackable. It's got a Wi-Fi. It's got Wi-Fi access. That may be convenient for some, but for me, it means that the files get corrupted. Brilliant work that I do that is just not, you know, this boring trash. You know, I can't even work with it, you know. So, why am I trying to do this here? You know, the best advice I have for target-targeted individuals is to team up. Find a place a little ways out in the country, or a place on the edge of town, in a cul-de-sac with access to an open lot, anyway. It doesn't look like it's going to be developed for a while. And in this way, I mean, you can handle your security a little better. Yes, I'm surrounded by all these narrow-minded people. They know so very little. And they're hyper-control freakish about the things that they do know about. All these misconceptions. It's so pathetic. They're so programmed. And they would go and hurt somebody, wouldn't they? They would go and hurt somebody. That way they can feel superior. They can work out their little issues. You know, they've been abused in some way. Probably worse than me. Because otherwise, I mean, why would they turn to hard drugs and, you know? And nowadays, hard drugs are adulterated with all this nanotech. It re-resonates with the, you know, the radiation from the cell phone towers, from their smartphone, the Wi-Fi box, you know. They're essentially demon-possessed. It's demons and the underworld has facilitated this technological possession. They're just trying to reproduce themselves. That's all. But out in the country or someplace on the edge of a city, I mean, you know, there's more you can do for your security. A lot more you can do. So networking is very, very essential. If you're a targeted individual and you have some resources, you're somewhat resourceful, contact me. Just talk to me in person. Maybe we can work something out, you know. I just need some help, you know. They need to isolate you. That's the most important thing for the experiment and subsequent developments, you know, that branch out of that, you know, for that to actually work, you know. It's all about isolation. So basically it's the case that I can't turn around without some new development upsetting everything for me. Foiling my plans at every turn, so here's the thing. At the hospital, you know, I made an effort to educate the psychiatrist. There were a couple about the nature of what's going on. You know, fill in the gaps in her education. You know, these people, they see everything, you know, through the lens of all these psychological mechanisms, and they say, you know, they take the position that, yeah, sure, you may have been initially targeted way back when people tried to deceive you, exploit you, whatever. But from thereafter, it was basically a self-generated thing. You know, it just kind of built upon itself. That foundation was laid, and so, you know, everything thereafter, for the most part, is just self-generated delusion. You know. But I said, you know, I mean, it's a matter of, you know, people being able to relate to it in their own lives and their own experience, you know. When in reality, I mean, there's all this documentation for this kind of thing. It's been studied, you know. It's been well studied. You know, sociologists and anthropologists know that that in any complex organization, there are going to be secret societies, and yes, they, you know, there's going to be elements within those societies that you know certainly have a clandestine agenda, and there's all kinds of social engineering that's been going on for the longest time, and it relates to the religion of globalism, the idea that you're on this this spinning ball. I talked about this already. And you know, there are limited resources, and you need to practice a limited form of, you know, sort of a more sophisticated form of cannibalism, essentially. Until the day when you're you know, part of a cannibal band, and you're hunting the man and boy, you know, like in The Road. Mm-hmm. So essentially, wow, they've really disorganized me, you know. My goose is cooked. It's time to hang it all up, you know. Time to hang it all up. I do have that laser gun. And then there's that mortar that I made when I had access to. Anyway, no. All this programming is resurfacing. I really don't know what to do. Really don't know what to do. That bird is gathering the duct tape fibers? Huh. Anyway, they let on. They don't want to encourage your delusions, you know. They'll acknowledge, you know, okay, so there's all these other people saying this, essentially the same thing you have, and some, you know, they have YouTube channels, and some have written books, and, you know, there's this long history of this kind of thing. Okay. All right, you know, so that's what you're claiming, you know. But at last, you know, it was basically, she admitted that what happened to you is common, you know, and the only solution that she sees, really, sure, you know, keep doing what you're doing, Mr. Pemble, you know, make your YouTube videos, you know, we think that's really cool, you know, write your books, you know, make your art if that's what you want to do, you know. But what you need to do is you need to take this diagnosis of schizophrenia, you know, the paperwork, you need to take that down to the Social Security office, and you need to get that hooked up for you, because, you know, essentially, I mean, money insulates you, you know. Money provides you with means of protection. hell, with money, I mean, you can buy all the shielding. Yeah, you could you could get a house, you could dig down into the basement, line it with hematite stone, and, you know, you sleep down there, you know? Hell, you could buy a lead-lined coffin. They wouldn't be able to cook you in a lead-lined coffin. No, sir. No how. Now I know that, you know, plenty of people out there, they have no respect for somebody who's, you know, quote-unquote a drain on society. Maybe it's social justice, but, you know, I don't know. And people are targeted, you know, from an early age, and they go half crazy, and because, you know, somebody's trying to fit them into some kind of mold. Somebody's trying to exploit them in various ways, and they do. Their investment, it does, you know, pay off. But anyway, I mean, yeah, so, you know, that's the remnant of, you know, this is the residual effects of war, and, you know, they're meted out on the children, and they suffer little children, you know, and you know, I guess the collective should pay for it. I suppose, you know, they should pay for you managed to somehow survive, and yeah, the collective should pay for it, you know, I guess. Yeah, maybe the system's going to collapse, and, you know, eventually anyway, and, you know, Mr. Pemble, you know, you could have a life, you could have a family. We think you're a good person, you know, I think you're a good person, and, you know, that is what you should do. So, gang stalkers, they don't care about the collective good. They care about their own profit. They care about making their employers happy with their petty grudges. These are people of means who have petty grudges, who are sociopaths, and they're fascists. And they're able to influence all these other people on down the line, you know, lower in the hierarchy, because they're just all, you know, I don't know. There's, you know, they're able to do it partly out of fear. So nobody wants to work with me, and you know, I've called all these different shops, and nobody wants to work with me. Everybody's a frightened little coward, you know. Yeah, all kinds of people invent things, you know. Gay people invent things. Transgender people invent things. All colors, creeds, and, you know, people invent things, you know. The question is, you know, is it objectively good? Is it all kinds of things you take for granted, you use on a regular basis? You don't know who created that thing initially. You don't know whose idea it was or how it came to be, the origin story behind it. Could have been quite dramatic, friend, you know, and you may not, might be very unpleasant to know about. Who knows? So they don't let you know. You know, they don't let you know. People suffer, you know. People suffer to be able to invent things. It's an invention. It's like something invented out of yourself, your past history. You got to delve very deep. It's painful. Now, I think the way the Pisces consciousness works, I've got some, you know, some Piscean elements anyway. I'm not a Pisces, I'm a Capricorn, but how it works is they go into the consciousnesses of others. They're able to empathize to that great degree. They're able to access the memories of dead people even, you know. I think I got the speed switch idea, for example, from maybe some SOG operative in, he might have been on the Cambodian, you know, Vietnam border, and, you know, I don't know, maybe he died aspirating rice paddy water, you know, some bullets from came out of an AK-47, you know, perforating his chest, and kind of drowned. And he might have, you know, I don't know, invented it right there as, you know, just part of his, as he died, you know. Said, if I had been able to reload faster, I'd still be alive. You know, just one of the minor little things he thought about as he expired. So they think you steal these things, essentially. They think that you're robbing from all, you know. So therefore they say it doesn't belong to anybody. It can belong to them. The products of your creation can belong to them. So, you know, they suckle the blood out of little children. Those children, you know, they grow up, they're parasites. They suck your blood your whole life. These people are Satanists. They're just copying the elite, you know, and they work for the elite through these different channels, you know. So it's just emulation of a success model. That's the way to build the castle. It's got to have a dungeon. It's got to have a keep. It's got to have all these different walls, you know. If they penetrate one, then you can repel them, you know. You got all these traps set up, you know. All these mines you activate, you strip out the lines, and you got another wall, you got another wall, and another wall, and then there's the keep. Goes down, the subterranean territory branches out. That's where the real action is, you know. You got people with an essentially medieval consciousness, operating here and now. Some of these people know the real score, you know. And some of these people have property beyond Antarctica that you don't get to know about. Vast, vast acreage, pristine wilderness. It could be a frontier. You know, you could buy a Ride-Him magnet motor of the appropriate size. You could install it in a plane. And, you know, this thing's going to run for hundreds of years without fuel. And, you know, you can take a trip however many thousands of miles. You can get beyond the ice barrier, essentially, you know. Turns into temperate rainforest after that, and you can go out there and colonize a new world. Admiral Byrd did it in what, 1910 or something? 1910, 11, 1912 or something. He went out there. He saw, you know. He saw that there's more land beyond Antarctica. Came back, it was in all the papers, and then they told him to shut up. So he shut up. Well, you know, You had to have some balls to do that kind of exploring, but you know, with a Rythem magnet motor, you know, hey, you can take that thing out. You can drill a hole in the ground. You can drill to, you know, to the center of the earth. It's probably no center. We're probably on some big plateau or some giant fucking table in some giant fucking laboratory. We're just this tiny little speck on a table. We're just a science experiment. That's the entirety of the Earth. And this is the known map. This is the known map that you think is a ball. You think is on a sphere spinning in space. There's no such thing as space, by the way. We don't even know what the stars are. We don't know how big the sun is. It's certainly not 96 million miles away. We don't even know what it is. A burning lamp that rotates like the hour hand on a clock. A 24-hour clock, you know. All right, friends. Hope that was crazy enough for you. Hope it was actionable. Yeah, I'm really tired, you know. Yes, I think I will be going into the Social Security office. Yes, that's going to limit my earnings. That's what they want. They just want to win. You know? And they do want to collapse society, actually. Then they can kill off all the liberal scum. But you don't think so, right? That would never happen. What are you going to do when the lights turn out, you know? And they will eventually. Will you be ready, friend? Will you be armed with an assault rifle? With a speed switch? Will you have some food stores and means of cooking and lighting, you know, your place? Will you have the ability to filter water?